Hi, this is Alan from Black Crow Gaming doing another Rules Lawyered.
Whoa, Alan, look, mate. It's not another Rules Lord video. We're here to talk to Alan, the Rules Lawyer, about his GT win.
What?
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 Say what?
Say what?
Say what? But before we get into that, right, let's because I'm quite excited to do this, Alan. We finally got you on an actual full length video with ourselves, OBS
I'm
and
normally only
everything.
allowed 2 minutes. That's all they let me have
Yeah,
normally.
yeah, we could only give it. We could. Look, you see how bloody big he is in the thumbnail. We can't let him grow any bigger. Anyway, I just want to do a quick shout out to our wonderful sponsors. If you want some cheaper minis, look out for Glasshammer Gaming. Put in the Black Crow code, and you get an additional 5% off. Who doesn't like some cheaper miniatures? If you want some wonderful terrain, which is going to be actually very much displayed in the pictures that we have for you as we go through this PowerPoint. Get on there, get onto Terrain Forge. Mats and terrain, all that you're going to see is all from Terrain Forge in these photos, and they're fantastic. We've got the wonderful Pros Painted Studios as well. If you want some cheaper loot from them, make sure you check out Black Crow Gaming's discount on our Linktree. And then further on our Linktree, check out Trident Futureworks. You want some cool cases, you want your symbols sprayed on the side, a nice big sticker panel, some jazzy pits. They're the ones for you guys, so make sure you check that out. And we have got a very exciting new sponsor coming very soon. We've been hinting about it on our old Instagram. They're very good at some cheeky teas. You know, you might have seen them all over the place, and we're going to be announcing them very soon. And we're very excited about that. But let's get into it. Alan, we finally got you on the channel properly, other than doing your shorts, the Rules Lawyer shorts.
You don't want to see me in shorts. No, see Rules Lawyer shorts. Yeah. But no, this is no. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Well, look, we couldn't let you go off. Win a Ragnar GT, which is a Black Crow Gaming GT. A win of Ragnar GT, have one hell of a 5 game run where you played some incredible players to then walk out, take the whole flaming thing. But not only did you take the entire event win, you also got the most sporting votes as well.
Yeah, what's that about?
As if
No one likes the winner.
Yeah, well, apparently that's what people say. But actually, I think there's a real the correlation is if you're actually somebody who's if you actually make the game enjoyable for both players and do it in a fair and balanced way, you actually still get those most sporting votes and you can still win a GT. And I think what an absolute show for you. You're also very much top of the Ragnar GT leadership board as well.
Yes. Yeah. Well, can I drag myself back to deepest, darkest Norwich to keep playing? We'll find out. We'll
Well, we'll
find out.
see. Like obviously there is a big silver trophy available for you at the end. Some good vouchers, and hopefully we're hoping a very cheeky golden ticket. And basically the way that works, folks, is you need to attend 4 Ragnar GTs over the course of the season, the UKTC ITC season. If you do that at the end, we'll announce the winner and we take the 4 highest scores. But there's a special way of scoring. It's based on your victory points and your most sporting votes. So each most sporting vote is worth 50 points, plus whatever points you score over the course of the weekend. And that actually ended up putting something we weren't expecting, Alan, incredibly high up the leaderboard straight away. And I think it's going to take people a few GTs to potentially match that.
We'll see. We'll
We'll
see.
see.
But no, I'm looking forward to it. It was an amazing event. It did mean travelling to Norwich, which but no, it was amazing. But really well, amazing venue, air conditioning, sound dampeners, lovely little cafe, plenty of parking. You know, would thoroughly recommend anyone that can make it there next time.
I think we definitely, because bear in mind this event is only £38 as well. I don't think there's an event out there for the same value, in my opinion, that I found.
And breakfast bun on Saturday. I don't know if that's a permanent thing, but it
That is a
was.
permanent thing, yeah.
That is a permanent thing. Yeah, even better. There you go.
The breakfast included in your ticket price is a breakfast bun, yeah. Which is
And mine was brought to me by the lovely Arron halfway through the game because I forgot.
yes. I had conveniently finished my game. I thought it was time to get him out there. So anyway, let's get to it. The Black Crow Games rules lawyer here to talk about his Wrath of the Rock GT winning list. So over to you, Alan.
So yeah, talk about the list a little bit. I don't want to dwell too much on the list because I think um, what I want to talk about today is things like deployment. And the question I get asked a lot is how you play the lion, because the lion is the main part of the list. He's the thing that if you play well, will allow you to punch up, and if you play badly, you'll lose him early and potentially lose your games. So it's a Wrath of the Rock list. So for those that don't know, that's -1 to wound if your strength is higher than my toughness. The Lion gets that as part of his data sheet. So the only person that doesn't get it is the Ballistus Dreadnought, but he's like toughness 10 anyway. So, he does all right. Um, it's also got some tricks. One of them's Leonine Aggression, which allows you to effectively heroically intervene even when you haven't been charged. So you can sit on an objective behind a rear in, and if someone tries to take it off you with some high OC units and plants them nearby, you just charge them into their charge phase. So they don't like that very much. But the list is Asriel, absolute standard for most Archangels lists. I put him with 6 inner circle companions. A lot of people don't, but I think they're really good. -1 to hit, with a -1 to wound. He gives them an invuln save. They're hard to kill. Captain, he's got enhancement, which makes him strength 10, -3 AP, 3 damage. And I stick him with a stern guard so he can do a bit of shooting and then run in and punch people to death with their reroll wounds if they're on the oath target. Combi Lieutenant, great for scoring, spare 10 points for his enhancement, which is basically reroll leadership. Did come in useful once, believe it or not.
Yeah, every now and then it comes
Um,
in clutch.
every now and again, you never know with these things. Sammy with 3 Outriders. For my money, he's essential to the list. The list does have an advanced shoot and charge strat, but Sammy does that for free. So it allows you to have 2 units that can reach out and touch. Jump pack intercessors, again, nice little unit that can reach out and touch or do scoring. Ballistas, not the best anti-tank, but it's got a 2+ save, and it's quite good on Overwatch because it basically gets free oath. In most cases, Deathwing Knights, don't leave home without them. I still like the maces because they're good into everything, and the great weapons because they do dev wounds. Infiltrators to protect home, and then scouts for scoring. With the knives now, -1 on the AP, it makes them actually quite effective. Especially into like squishy elves and things like that, where you can be wounding on 3s with AP1. So yeah, that's the list.
We'll move on. So this is a little photo of Alan at the event. As you can see, we everybody had a side table. There's
So
screen
good, so useful.
there's a screen in the back so that everybody can see their deployment, and we have all of our discounts highlighted for everyone at the back as well, and you can just get access to those via a QR code. So we really went all out to try and make this as best an event as we can, and this is the standard and the bar that we're setting. So
And you had the clock going, so at any point you can have a look and see how much time you had left. There was some music, and I'm not always sure about music at events because sometimes it can, with all the noise, it can be distracting. But actually, with the sound installation, it actually worked really well.
yeah,
Um,
we had it playing for a bit. Then I remembered that I needed to turn it off. But it's kind of that like walk-in music, you know. If anybody from the old days of Games Workshop remembers going in, it used to basically be just metal music in the background, and I kind of recreate that battle bunker feel as people coming in. And actually, the cafe loved it as well, which I thought was really cool. They were really into it, and they loved coming in and serving everyone, getting everyone real coffee, flat whites, cappuccinos, lattes, whatever you wanted. It was really great, and you can see Alan's smiley face. So we'll show you round one. So we're going to talk about all 5 rounds, and they are the 5 UKTC map rounds. Okay, so here's the first map. So what I'm going to do is I'll get up a laser pointer for you, Alan, and you just tell me where you need me to go.
yeah, so firstly, it's Terraform. So Terraform isn't bad for going first, but I did go second. And when looking at a map like this, what I'm thinking is, where do I need to attack? Where do I need to defend? What's my natural expansion? And I think it's pretty obvious on this one. Your natural expansion's the right-hand side one. Yeah, there we go. Because you can hide in that nice little ruin and make it quite hard for the opponent to get to you. So my thinking was, let's stick some scouts up that way. and I'll show you on the next screen in the photo how I deployed them. But there you go, look. So you can see the scouts there. And what I've done there with those scouts, I think I might have won the deployment. I can't remember. But what I always do is deploy infiltrators first, and I deployed them in as long as line as possible and 9 inches from his deployment zone. And the reason for that is because I don't want him to be able to make scout moves, and I don't want him to be able to infiltrate where he wants to infiltrate. So I'm trying to make it as long as possible to try and give as much mid-board denial as I can. But what I've also done is ensure that they're all 6 inches away from 1 inching that ruin. So if I go first, I can perhaps be aggressive. If I go second, they can then nicely hide and tuck in. Nice
It's
and safe.
also worth noting who your opponent is. So you played Taff Jones from Team Wales for your round one, and he was running the Raven Guard, the new Raven Guard build.
Shadow Mark, yeah, really
Yeah.
strong. Didn't have +1 to wound because the fact it only just come out after list submission. Got to bear that in mind. And actually, he deployed a lot of jump packs in that ruin opposite the scouts. That one there, yeah. So I knew my scouts were pretty much toast. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to bait him out then. If he wants to come for me, let him come for me. So the room below, that's where the stern guard are. So that one there, look, so that's the stern guard and the captain. So my theory was, whatever comes and kills the scouts is now in the open, right? So I can use my shooting. They can come out and just kill whatever comes out, and then punch them to death. The ballistas, you can probably see in the middle, he can shoot that way as well. And then you'll see I've got a nice little castle in the middle. I've got my inner circle companions with Azrael, some Deathwing Knights, the Lion, Sammy, because he can reach out and touch most places in there. There's that nice little flat piece of ruin to the right of the big one. He can cross that quite easily. So we can get to a lot of different places. And then on the far left, I've got infiltrators to protect home, and then some jump pack intercessors. And their job is just to threaten his expansion. Whether I attack it or not doesn't matter. They're sat there and they can just make him think. And you'll see, I think that's his scouts. I think he's deployed his scouts quite far back, I think, because he was scared of my jump pack intercessors, which is fine. That's what they're there for. That big ruin is amazing for melee armies because I can just 1 inch it with inner circle companions and go, it's mine. You know, they can then threaten the mid board, they can threaten his expansion, they can go back to my expansion. One unit of Deathwing Knights off the board. And they have teleport Homer. I hadn't put it down when the photograph was taken, but if you go to the right of that little flat ruin, yeah, between those two ruins is where I put the teleport home. And the reason for that is because they can deploy either hidden if a rapid ingress behind one of those ruins, and they can come back and protect my expansion if I need them to. So it's quite a nice little thing to have. Whether or not you use it doesn't matter. It's a free CP if you get to use it. If not, you deploy them where it's appropriate. So that's how I deployed. And as you can see, the line is nice in the middle, ready to go where he's needed. So next slide. So as you can see on the right-hand side, he did a full send. He sent jump back into Cesar. He sent it was a big 10-man brick. He then dropped another 10-man brick on the other flank. Because of my infiltrators, they had to come over 12 inches away, so we rapid ingress them. And then, as you can see, I think this is my turn 2. I think Asriel's just ploughed up the middle and killed a load of stuff. The lions sat there as a threat. The Stern Guard have come out and shot a load of stuff. Sammy's come out ready to charge. Those Deathwing Knights in the middle, they can do a bit of a charge as well. So I've set up here to take back my expansion, which I knew I'd lose. I'm defending my home. I've left my jump packs there with the infiltrators because I've now got 10 guys. He's going to send 10 guys and a captain. But look, my ballistas has come back to shoot up at his inceptors right at the top. And I've stuck him on the objective. And I've stuck him on the objective because I figured he'd come for my home cap. And I just want to get a bit more OC on there when he's got that 5-in line. Okay. So what I'm planning on doing here is I've taken the middle quite nicely. I'm taking my expansion quite nicely, and I'm defending home. I'm not really fussed about his expansion at this stage. I'm not really fussed about his home at this stage. I've given him a puzzle to solve, right? What's he going to do? How is he going to deal with me being on those 3 objectives? Should we find out?
Let's have a look.
Let's have a look. So he sends his stuff across, but as you can see, there's a jump pack guy still alive. There's an infiltrator still alive, and the reason for that is because I've got -1 to wound, and I popped AOC, Armor of Contempt. So because he splits his attack between the 2 units, he doesn't finish off either unit. -1 to wound is so strong at keeping your models alive that he expects to kill. And the lion, well, the lion comes back and just picks them all up, right, or most of them up. He did have a couple of shields, and funny enough, he said he didn't mean to put the shields in, but he didn't have the models, and the shields tanked, I think, 5 or 6 hits from the lion. Actually saved him. Had the shields not been there, I probably would have picked up the entire unit. Um, so I think the blisters came in, did a bit of a tank shock, and it was just game over at that point in terms of my home objective. That's mine. Leave it alone. And then I think the next picture is probably the next flank. And as you can see, the Stern Guard have come, cleared that up. In the bottom corners where his Centurion Devastators came. But as predicted, I rapid ingressed my Deathwing Knights, and they went over and handily dealt with them. Sammy came across, the Outriders died, I think probably from Overwatch or something. But as you can see, I've now locked up that objective, I've locked my home, and I think the next slide probably shows that my Deathwing Knights have now sat on the middle and gone, what are you going to do with 5 Deathwing Knights? He's come to try and deal with Asriel. I got quite lucky, if I'm honest. Asriel survived. I lost the Inner Circle Companions. He fired a lot at that unit. But that was fine. If it had died, that wasn't a problem. I'd already locked up the objectives I needed at this point. And then I think the next slide shows you can just about see the lion's hat just to the left of where your pointer is. Just down a bit, down the bottom left ruin. His hat's just sticking out there. Yeah, just there. There you go. He's now running forward to try and take his home objective. Funnily enough, Asriel did charge, failed the charge. I re-rolled it, and he succeeded in the charge. Picked up that unit. But I always put tokens down. Here's a top tip for you. Put tokens down. Asriel was battle shocked. So he couldn't have re-rolled the charge, so we took it all back. The lion eventually goes up there and finishes them off instead. The Deathwing Knights, you'll see, they've come out, finished off the aggressors. Really, really close game. Really, really tough. I think probably the next slide shows you the score, perhaps. Or is it another picture? No, that's another picture just showing you that there's very little he's got left now. He's got one of his characters on his home objective. I did make a play for him, but it didn't quite work. But at this point, I've got 4 objectives. He's got 1. He did really well scoring wise. There you go. There's the lion. Look on the left. He's handily jumped up there. And the point I'm making here about the lion is I've never exposed him to any danger. He's done what he needed to do. He took my home objective. He killed what he needed to kill. He went up, took another objective, but he was never exposed to danger. I never left him where he could be shot or attacked easily. And I think that's really important when you're playing the lion to keep him safe. He sounds tough, and he is tough, but he can also, if you fail a few 3-ups, he can die quite easily.
Yeah,
And there
absolutely.
we go. It was a
And then
really, really tough game. Like you say, the score, despite the fact that I'd locked up those objectives quite well, score was really tight. I think I'll just bring it up on my other screen just so I can see it a bit clearer. Yeah, he got 42 primary, and I got 47, and that was because it was terraform. And so he managed to terraform 2 of the objectives early, and I was unable to unterraform until quite late in the game. So he got 16 points turn 1, but only 3 on turn 5, whereas I got 6 on turn 1 and then got up to 16 on turn 5. So it kind of swung the other way as I managed to unterraform throughout the game. So terraform really good if you go first. It gave him a lot of points that otherwise wouldn't have been scored, I think. So yeah, close game, really good fun. Yeah.
and on to the next one, round 2.
Round two.
Purge the
So
foe.
purge the foe. Purge the foe is always fun because you just want to kill more, right?
Mm.
Who doesn't want to kill more?
And you
And
went into
this,
the perfect army to kill as well, round two.
yeah,
Because you went into
it was
Eldari.
it was Eldari, and this was Stephen, who's
Yeah,
who's is a social media manager for Team England. I think was getting a
that's
bit of coaching from Team England. So
yeah, that's right.
um,
He's a social media manager for Team England, working with them, doing some great work. He's also a Black Crow Gaming member, long term member as well.
he is, and really played really well. It was a really tough game, and you'll see what's happened there is he's won the infiltrate game, and what he's done quite cleverly is deploy a line along the middle and just going right. You're not going to infiltrate because I'm not going to let you. And he doesn't need his unit like my scouts. I really want to survive. Um, he probably doesn't care if they survive or not. So my combi lieutenant got as close as he could. And a bit like before, I've deployed a big chunk of my army in the middle: the Lion, Deathwing Knights, Outriders, Inner Companions, Ballistas, Infiltrators on the back. But this time, what I've done is on that side, if you see there, I've put my Stern Guard and I've put my JPIs because actually, I think on this map, if you go back a screen, um, on this map, bizarrely, I think that's my expansion objective,
It is.
even though the ruin is the wrong way around.
However, with the new heavy maps, which we're going to be playing at Ragnar,
Mm,
the heavy maps make that your expansion.
yeah. But this one, I figured I could get onto that and sit against that wall and be quite safe from shooting.
Yeah,
So I figured, and also if you look at deployment, it's quite hard to deploy on the bottom without being shot.
it is because of that
Um,
line straight down
you've
here.
got that line straight down the
So I'll
middle. So I
show
had to
them.
be,
Just down there,
yes,
there's a line. So this whole
yeah.
bit here is a no go.
But also it's been cut off on that. But also there's a line right along the bottom as well, which you can get deployment to deployment.
That's
So
right.
so this was one where I figured, you know what? And you can't see them, but my scouts do take the other objective. And again, their plan is to jump into that ruin.
There you go. You can see it there.
Yeah, see, I can see it there. Look, but his infiltrate has meant I can't 1 inch the wall because his scouts stopped me scouting
Yeah,
within 9. Um, and I went second, which meant he's left his scouts where they are. My scouts had to pull back because against Eldar, funny enough, with scouts, I often use them aggressively. I just send them forward and kill some elves, right? How many elves? But because I went second, they had to come back, but they couldn't properly inch that wall because of
right.
where those guys are in the middle. But I figured, fine, then my side of the wall, whatever he sends against them, I'm gonna pick up. I've got all
Nice.
that stuff in the middle. I'm just gonna pick it up and kill. So if you go on to the next slide, you can see the lions in the middle. He's getting his companions with him. He sends his warp spiders through. Um, and I'm trying to think of what his logic was in this. It might have been a mission he had. I think he charged them into my ballistas because he had behind enemy lines or something. Um, but they're not really a threat to me. I've got -1 to wound. I've got high saves. I can arm of contempt. I can Leonine aggression, so I could charge him at the end of his charge phase. But they do go through and they do some damage. You'll see he's pulled his scouts back, his infiltrators back in the middle. And so at this point, it's a case of what do I need to do um, to deal with him? I can't just sit and be passive. I've got to come out. So if you go to the next screen, I send Sammy out. I'm like, he's got a lot of range. He's going to come out. He's going to reach out and touch, and you'll see there's a lot of stuff there that Sammy can come out and deal with. And he can really do some work on some elves. So he comes out on that flank to try and take that because although that's not my natural expansion, I want to stop him getting it or make him work hard
Mhm.
for it. And if you go to the next screen, you'll see that he handily picks up a lot of the outriders with his water spiders, and then I'm not able to do as much with him as possible. But what he has done is he's pulled those fire dragons away from his transport, so he's not going to keep doing the in and out of the transport trick. Um, and I've kind of tied him up a little bit on that flank. He's not able to pull off all these elf shenanigans that he would like to do. The next slide shows what's going on in the middle, and this was the other thing that happened. Was he charged Jane Czar into my Deathwing Knights? The Wart Spiders, I was correct to go into the Ballistas. But now he's got a problem. He's got Jane Czar to my Deathwing Knights, and he's got those guys into Sammy, and he doesn't want to lose his Fire Dragons. So he chooses to fight Sammy first, which means I can counter offensive, and I pick up all those Banshees, just leaving behind Jane Czar. And at that point, I've got the middle lockdown, and I push out for the flank, as you'll see here. And this is where I make the risky play, because I bring the Lion out and I put him in front of his Fire Dragons. Okay? And the reason I do that is because I need to push out on that flank to keep him back from the middle. My expansion's quite safe. He doesn't really threaten that. My jump pack intercessors have gone all the way through that flank, and they're about to hit his home objective. So, that flank is nice and secure. And I bring the Lion out. And I bring the Lion out because I've got to threaten him. He brings out all his Fire Dragons. I'm like, fine, the Lion's going to die. Fire Dragons pick up the Lion, no problem, right? But you'll see I've got my Inner Circle Companions behind them. That unit will probably pick up both units of Fire Dragons by themselves. So I'm not worried about the Lion dying. Hilariously, he split fires with the first unit, 5 into the Inner Circle Companions, 5 into the Lion. Lion takes no damage. Okay?
Oh. Oh.
He then puts the second unit into the Lion. Lion tanks all of it apart from one. He gets wounded once.
Oh no.
Okay? That one guy does him 9 damage.
Oh
He's got
wow.
10 wounds. I know, right? So the Lion survives on a wound and, wrecks everything afterwards. But the point was, I sacrificed the Lion for the greater good because he had to deal with him. He couldn't ignore him. And everything else then just came and mopped up. And as you see in the end, because I was able to sweep handily around the left flank, hold down the middle, and keep fighting over that other objective, I just didn't give him the opportunity to score. And I think that's really important when you're playing. He only managed to score 16 primary, whereas I managed to get all 50. If you can win the primary game and you can do okay on secondaries, you're going to win. And I think that's something that I think some people think too much about. What can you kill? What can I lose? And this was a game where I decided that I didn't need the Lion. I needed everything else. I needed him to come out because he could only deal with the Lion if all that stuff came out to deal with the Lion. But as soon as that happened, it was just there for me to pick up, right?
That's right.
So yeah, so that
Round
was
3.
good. Hidden supplies. This is always a difficult one because you've then got all your, you've got your extra objective you need to be thinking about.
It's also worth noting as well, and I've accidentally cut this off, but at the bottom here is completely open.
Completely open. And this was my toughest game of the weekend because it was Grey Knights
Against the wonderful Kristen from Hog
against,
Crankers.
yeah, absolutely amazing opponent, really skilled, played it perfectly. 4 Dread Knights, but more importantly, and I forget the unit's name now. It's the ones that have the anti-infantry 2 up. It's what this chap Purgators or something. No,
Purgators or something like that. Yeah, Purifiers.
Purifies. This is the detachment Warpbane.
That gives them all reroll, so it makes them incredibly efficient at what they deliver.
Oh my goodness. And it has Castle and Crow, who doubles the number of shots that the unit he's in with. Their anti-infantry 2 up, their AP2, their 1 damage. So my Deathwing Knights have got -1 damage. Doesn't matter. They're only doing 1 damage anyway. Oh my god, can those things kill? And so can the Dread Knights. They've actually got a really good profile for picking my army up. And reroll. 10th edition is the edition of no rerolls, right? Oh my goodness. Everything was rerolls. The whole way through was rerolls.
Infuriating to play against.
Infuriating. So what you see I've done there is I've set up again in the middle. I've got the Lion in the middle. I've got the Inner Circle Companions. I've got the Deathwing Knights. The bikes at the bottom because it's search and destroy. I made sure he didn't have any angles onto those bikes, so they can reach out and touch any of those bottom two objectives. The ruin in the kind of left middle, I've got my stern guard and I've got my JPIs. They're there to go for that top objective up there. I think my scouts were on that objective as well, so I've got 3 units kind of defending that, and then obviously my infiltrators, nice and safe, tucked in at the back. And oh my god, this was a game that I struggled on. I think the next slide shows his deployment, but it doesn't really matter because everything up he downs. So where he deploys doesn't really matter because he's going to get fiving lines. And one of the downsides of my army is it can't screen. It's too elite. It's too small. You play custodes, obviously.
I know
I don't
that
know whether.
feeling.
I don't know whether. Yeah, do you get a similar feeling? You don't really
Yeah.
have the units to screen.
No, so my last build, absolutely the one I took at Ragnar, but my newer build, I've actually got 25 sisters in.
Oh, amazing.
And they're all in units of 4 or 5. So their literal role is to flood and screen the board because they're on 32 mil basis, right? So you can just
And are they like 45, 50 points or something?
40 points each. I've spent
Oh,
250 points on it, but I have got 6 dreadnoughts, a land raider, some custodian guard. I think I sent you the list actually, and it's
yeah,
just
I did say I would kill for little bodies like that. That I could just put out just to
yeah,
screen corners.
yeah. That's basically
So
what I'm gonna do.
on this one, I knew I needed to be aggressive because I knew he was going to kill me.
Mm,
Um, so I knew I just needed to kill as much stuff as I could. He put he put a unit of Grey Knights on that objective, so I came to take it off. We had a unit behind the wall as well, which could heroically intervene. Um, I did get unlucky and Asriel failed the charge, but then the lion, believe it or not, made a 12-inch charge,
oh,
and came in and yeah, messed him up. The problem was because I was really expecting him. He was in the middle where you see the Deathwing Knights, relatively safe. The problem was because Asriel failed the charge, he no longer had load up because he was on his own. So that was probably, well, it wasn't really an error because he did his job. He cleared that unit, and when the unit heroically intervenes through the wall, he fight first. So he picked up that unit, which allowed Sammy to deal with the other unit.
I see.
So he did his job. But what happens then? You see those Dread Knights? Well, they've all got melters, right? So um, you can only roll so many 3-up saves.
Yeah,
And in this particular case, the lion did die. This was a game I didn't take many photographs of because, frankly, I didn't have much to photograph because he just came out and killed everything. Whatever he looked at, it died. So all I did here was just keep on the objectives. I know he gets rerolls to wounds when I'm on objectives, but I knew the only way I could win because he's uppy downy, he's got to come in 9 inches away, right? So if I'm on objectives, he's not on objectives.
mm.
He comes down, he kills something, I put something else on, and I just kept him off, kept him off, kept him off. And I think at the end of the game, I had maybe 2 models left.
But look at the score.
But look at the score. But look how tight that score is. Look how low that score is. He only got 15 on his primary. I only got 30 on mine. But that's what won me the game again. It was just getting that extra little bit of primary. But yeah, Warpbane Task Force. Oh my goodness! If you're playing in a whole infantry list, I don't know if you've ever faced it with your wardens, but
I say so. When the warden spam is out, it's okay because they drop everything down. You tank it all. You charge. You kill them. Um, but but it is a lot of flat free damage, and they're incredibly good at killing
but
custodies.
-2, ignore cover. So you want your invuls
Yeah,
and infantry 2-up. So my -1 to wound made no difference for a
no,
lot of
it
this.
just
Um,
ignored it,
it
which
was
is rough.
absolutely brutal, absolutely brutal.
I mean,
But great opponent. Everyone, by the way, was a great opponent. I had a really, really good time.
on to the next one. So
Yeah.
round 4. So for some reason, I couldn't get this to display as round 4, but we know this is round 4, and this is just nice and easy. Taken. Is this taken hold? This
I think
one.
it's taken hold. Yeah, I think so. I
Um.
can quickly double check.
So it's that
Uh,
stupid map we saw earlier, and this is you went into our
Lynch.
dear
It's linchpin.
linchpin, and you went
It's
into our dear
linchpin.
friend, fellow BCGer, Ant.
Yeah, and he was like he didn't think he could win the match, and I thought he had a really good shot, and I think we'll talk about it in a minute. But he made one mistake that lost in the mate. Had he not made that mistake, it would have been a real
Rough.
close game one way or the other.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Because I played Ant as well, and he actually eked the draw into me because he didn't do what he did into you.
yeah. Sorry.
So I just want to say thank you to that. But
No, no, no.
essentially, Ant was running the Centurion spam, Inceptor spam, uppy downy, Raven Guard build that isn't a new detachment.
Yeah, so he was playing Vanguard.
Vanguard.
And the reason was because he was playing with the +1 to wound. I think was probably the reason why he chose to go for
Hmm.
it. Because again, at the time of the tournament, the +1 to wound didn't apply to Shadow Mark, whereas it did apply to Vanguard. And as you can see from deployment, he has a lot of jump packs. But what I found was, and you see my deployment again, very strong center.
Hmm.
Again, because it's the same before, I've got the JPIs and the Stern Guard going from my expansion at the top. And my scouts, uh, if you go back one, you'll see again they're doing the denial route, whereby they can either go forward or they can go back into the ruin. Just there, look. And this was the only game where I went first. I think. Did I go first? Yes, I did. Um,
You lucky duck. I went first almost all my games bar one. And it was a game into Chaos Knights where they wanted to go first.
oh, well, to be fair, I could have gone first on Terraform, and that would have, that'd have been good. But yeah, as soon as I went first, I was like, he had basically 1,000 points off the board.
Yeah.
He had 9 Centurion Descent Devastators, 6 Interceptors, 3 Inceptors. Did he have anything else? I can't remember. He had so much off the board. So my thought straight away was, I need to capitalize on that because when he comes on, he's going to kill everything. So I just need to kill as much as I can before
Mm.
he comes down. And those scouts, I was tempted to charge into his JPIs. You'll see there on the left, just kill a couple and tie them up because scouts can actually kill the -1 AP. They can actually do some damage and probably would pick up one or two of them and just tie them up. The reason I didn't, I think, was probably because the mission I got at the start
He has got
was yeah,
reactive. He's got reactive move on everything as well.
he has got reactive moves, but he's got his big unit in the middle. He had his Calgar unit in the middle, which you can't quite see in the ruin down there. And yeah, there you go. Look, I knew he was going to want to use his reactive move on that, so that wasn't a problem. But I drew recover assets, so I needed those. I needed those scouts to be safe because everything else was going to come forward.
Hmm.
And I made the decision that I was just going to send. I had Sammy, as you can see in the middle, who could go over that middle wall, and then over the next middle wall, over his those little tiny ruins. So Sammy would go kind of diagonally up and across, and Asriel would just charge into the middle and go through there. And this was the game that I made my mistake with the lion. So I do kind of want to talk about that. The lion has an ability where he can, in your command phase, he can go into reserve. So he can rapid ingress on your opponent's turn one if you go first. You go first, it goes up, your opponent's turn one, because he's starting on the battlefield, he can rapid ingress. So I'm like, he can rapid ingress, that's going to be brilliant. I can put him where he's not going to expect him. But it was a mistake because I was full send in the middle. So where's he going to go? He's going to go to the middle, right? He's going to fight me in the middle. So the lion really should have gone forward. He's got fight first. He should have been an heroic intervention threat. If I rapid ingress him, he's 9 inches away, And because I've gone to him rather than him come to me, he's going to be out of range to heroic intervene. So big mistake on my part. Very, very nearly cost me the game. And I was very lucky that it didn't. So, and I think the reason for that is because I just got it into my head. And this is, again, another piece of advice. Don't get into your head something that you think you'll always do. So my thing was, if I go first, he's always going to go into deep strike. I'm always going to pick him up. Don't do that because it doesn't work in every game. And like I say, in this game, I think, yeah, if you look at the next photograph, you'll see I did my full send. It failed. He did a reactive move, which I expected him to do with Calgar, but my plan was for Sammy to go into his JPIs on the side, pick them up, and then be a roadblock for Calgar. Calgar comes and kills Sammy, and then my inner circle companions go in and kill Calgar. But the charge failed, and he came through. And as you can see, there's a nice big gap between Sammy and the ICC, where the Lion would have fitted really nicely. Uh, he could have sat there and been fight first and heroically intervened and would have stopped him being able to do what he did. Thankfully, because I'm -1 to wound, although he did a full send back into me, he did not kill as much as he wanted to. The inner circle companion, -1 to hit, -1 to wound, 4 up invuln. He struggled. Obviously, Deathwing Knight, so not the Deathwing Knights, they weren't there. They came down to back up the scouts, actually. So their plan was, as you can see, you can't see on yours photograph for some reason, but right at the bottom, under the scouts, my Deathwing Knights, they come to back up that bottom objective. Because I know he's going to send his jump pack intercessors in, and he does not pick up as much in the middle as he expects to. I make another mistake. I reactive move my combi lieutenant. You can just about see him in front of Asriel to kind of give a bit of a roadblock for Asriel, but all he does is grenade him, take him out. So I've lost the combi lieutenant for nothing. And I'm going to regret that later because when his dev sense come down, who's best to score and hold the middle objective? Well, a nice low knock, right? So, another mistake. And I think it's important that you recognize your mistakes and you learn from them and you think, why did I do that? And at the time, I had a plan, but it was a bad plan. But he didn't kill as much as he thought he would kill because I think he underestimated how tough I was. And then the next screen, I did rapid ingress the Lion. So he wasn't able to take part in that fight. But in my turn, he came out, and between him, you'll see Sammy and the Outrider. You'll see Asriel's there. You'll see my jump pack intercessors I've come across. You'll see the Deathwing Knights. They've gone to kill the jump pack intercessors that came onto my objective. And actually, his jump pack intercessors only killed 2 scouts. Because they're tougher than you think sometimes.
Mm.
Scouts, they can be swingy, they can survive. So at this point, I'm doing all right. My ballistas wasn't really able to get involved in that middle fight. So what I thought I'd do was move him back and across to keep where he came, where he deep struck, as far that way as possible, because I knew he was going to have to come in. And I wanted to keep him as far away as possible and also have the ballistas as a reactive threat. And unfortunately, this is where Ant then makes his mistake. Oh, sorry, the next slide just shows. Oh no, there we go. Yeah, so he came on in that corner. He came on with 9 Centurions, with 6 Inceptors, and he blitzed the middle of the board. He came down and shot to pieces in the middle of the board. Didn't kill the Lion. Killed Sammy. I think he killed Asriel. Killed some of the jump pack intercessors, but as you can see, 2 are still alive. But as soon as he dropped them all down, I rapid ingressed my spare Deathwing Knights 9 inches away. They then came 4-inch charge and just tagged everything. And at that point, it's game over. You know, he's got all those really expensive guys that can't shoot out of combat, can't shoot into combat. I mean, they punch relatively hard, but I think they hit on fours and they're going into Deathwing Knights. He can shoot into combat, but that's why I put the JPIs there to kill some of his Inceptors. And I prioritised killing his Inceptors with my Deathwing Knights. And that was it. And I capitalised on a mistake. And as you can see, I start whittling him down. And he can't do anything. He's lost his Calgar unit. He's lost his effectiveness of his things. And it was quite a disaster for Ant.
And it ended up in a 97-30, so it
Yeah,
didn't go to plan. But let's move on to your round 5. And we'll talk about this one. So this is the round 5 map, that horrible map that we all hate, and this has taken hold.
this has
And
taken hold.
and you went into our good friend, fellow Crow, extremely well-known good player, Paul Bridge.
Yeah, and I think I did go in. To be fair, we did talk about this a little bit about attitude, but I did go in thinking I was the underdog. Paul Bridge is a very, very experienced player. Has a lot of accolades under his belt. Very high ranking on ITC. And I did think it was going to be a tough fight, but I go into every fight thinking it's going to be a tough fight. So I went in with the attitude that I'll play my socks off, see what happens. And as you can see, the deployment is the same as the last time I did Search and Destroy. So I've got the lion anchor in the middle, and the reason why the lion's there is because he's fight first. So anyone that comes to try and threaten that middle, especially on Search and Destroy, where the distance is quite short, he's there. He can heroically intervene into any one fight first and pick up stuff. Again, in that back rearing, I've got the Stern Guard and the JPI. I've got Sammy at the bottom, ready to threaten his expansion objective. And my thought here was, he's got a lot of berserkers. The berserkers fight on death. I've just got to try and weather the storm. I've just got to try and kill as many berserkers as I can, as fast as I can. And he had a character. He's playing the Delve detachment, and he
Subterranean
has a
Delver.
character, yeah, that can bring back berserkers. And Paul was telling me that in other games, what he had done is send forward 10 berserkers. Most of them died, fought on death, killed whatever, and then they retreated behind a wall. And then the second 10 came out, and then his character would resurrect all of that unit of 10. So when the second unit then gets picked off, it then moves back behind the wall. The original unit is back to full strength, moves out. So I knew I couldn't let him do that. I knew what I had to do was, if I was going to kill a unit, I was going to kill a unit, and I was going to kill it down to the last dwarf. Okay, so I knew I had to go for overkill, and I knew I had to try and bait him out because um, I needed him to come to me. So my scouts again start at the top, but this time,
Yeah.
because he went up there, yeah, because he went, you can just about see them there, look, just sort of doing a bit of screen. Because he went first, I pulled them back just to kind of hide behind that ruin, but not in the L, yeah, here where your marker is, on the outside of the L. Because that way, if you wanted to come and get my scouts, you had to be exposed. Okay? I knew that I could take that objective with my JPIs behind the other ruin, and I wanted to keep my scouts alive because they're actually quite annoying for him to deal with.
Mm.
Because his berserkers are strength 6 and they're T4, but I'm -1 to wound. So his berserkers are wounding scouts on 4s. That makes them quite annoying. So he pulls I think probably area denial or something. He has to get the middle objective. So he moves out to get the middle objective. But what he does, he just puts one dwarf on it. He puts one
Don't
uh
think I have an image of that.
you don't have an image of that, unfortunately. No, he puts one little dwarf on it. But the only way you can do it is by putting his transport against that wall, because he has to get out within 3.
Ah.
So to get out on the objective, his transport is now against that wall. So I'm like, sweet, I'm going to charge the wall with my scouts. So at that point, I'm tying up that transport and I'm kind of blocking his line. And as you can see at the top, I've oathed block of 10 berserkers because I'm expecting them to come out on his turn. So it's a reactive oath. It's an oath where I can take advantage in his turn.
Hmm.
And he does what I expect him to do, and he heroically intervenes and comes out. But he doesn't kill them all. He doesn't kill all those scouts because he's wounding them on fours, and he can't get them all in because of angles and things, and where that little tiny wall is. And that lone little sergeant survives. You'll see at the top he brings out his hecatonk. He puts down his three little guys. Doesn't pick up the blisters. So at this point, I'm like, huh, okay, okay. My scout's still going. My ballistas is still alive. The blisters was there mainly. I mean, he had his hecatonks had I think it's a 6 damage gun that can do dev wounds. So I thought that ballistas was just super dead. Turn one, I managed to get an angle onto one of his other hecachonks. I think I did 7 wounds to it. But I'm like, do you know what? You know, it's there for him to shoot. If he's
Hmm.
shooting that, he's not shooting something else. But it survives. So at this point, I'm like, huh, he's not on that top objective. He's now got his berserkers in the middle. I've got Asriel and the lion set up, ready to go. I can pick up that 10 block quite easy and dominate the center. At that point, what's he going to do? Because anything he sends against the lion can kill. He only fights on death on a 3 up or 4 up, depending on whether or not he's in. I think it's mostly a 3 up, to be fair. But that's still only 2/3 of his army that's fighting on death. And I think, do you know what? I've got a chance here. And as you can see from here, the lion comes out, the inner circuit companions come out. I pick up that unit of 10. And at this point, the lion is on that side. So anything that comes has to hit the lion. It's far enough away from his hecatonk that his hecatonk can't shoot the lion because it's got loan up. Um, I've sent some Deathwing Knights up there as well, you can see. They do the advance and charge because I didn't need to advance and charge in the middle. So they've advanced and charged to tie up his other hecatonk. I've got the middle. I've got that objective down the bottom. And this objective at the top I've still got because I've got the guys in the ruin at the back. So at this point, I'm like, huh. I'm now dominating the middle, and he's a melee army, and I'm a melee army. He's gonna have to come to me, but I've got to fight first, and I've got tough Deathwing Knights who can potentially survive quite a lot. Um, and that's basically how the rest of the game went. I didn't get any more photographs, but he's strength 6, hitting toughness 5 and toughness 4 models with -1 to wound. He's toughness 6. I'm strength 6. So even when his -1 to wound kicks in, makes no difference to me whatsoever. My army's my army's wounding him on 4s, but I'm doing 2 damage. He's got no armor. He's got 1 wound on each berserker with 4 up feel no pains. So 2 damage is probably going to kill a berserker. I mean, some obviously, can spike and it'll keep a berserker alive. But it was just a war of attrition at that point, and all I did was set up that wall, and it was just brawl, brawl, brawl. My Deathwing Knights at the top um, tie up 2 units of 5 berserkers. The guys in the middle just kill everything, and the guys at the top just managed to hold that objective. And as you can see, he never scored more than 5 primary a turn, which was his home. So he gets 20 primary, whereas I'm on 50 because I'm able to just lock down those 3 objectives the entire game. And that was that. And suddenly I've won. There you have it.
Won the whole freaking tournament, man.
Oh, the whole frigging tournament. But you can see how important the lion was. See what
Yeah.
he did, how key he was to everything that I was doing.
So thank you very much for doing such a concise breakdown. It was really interesting, and I think that people watching this will be able to really take a lot from this home because actually you give quite a lot of hints of how you can deploy because your deployment pretty much doesn't change.
No,
You
it's
and
pretty set.
and your game plan doesn't really change too much. It's reactive in some cases, yes, but ultimately you were key with what you want to do with the lion, and you use the lion to what he's best at: heroic intervention threat, fights first threat, just generally just being a bit of a nuisance in that mid-table area. Because you're right, low not being targeted from those far angles, and he's really difficult to shift for a melee army. Very, very clever. You've used your Deathwing Knights to your advantage with your rapid ingress to tie people up to get in there and I really like the ICC play because I do see in the Dark Angel community that they're not particularly rated, but they are gorgeous models,
Really
and
gorgeous.
they're absolutely amazing to see how well you did. So
See, a lot of people put a Justiciar with them if they do take them, so he gives them fight first. I don't do that for two reasons. One, because then they die from shooting because they've got no
mhm,
invul. And two, if you've got two fight first units and they're both charged, one of them isn't fighting first.
one of them's gonna die.
So I don't think that's good if you're bringing the lion. I think having two fight first units
Isn't the
isn't that
play?
useful. No.
No.
But yeah, I don't think it would have worked without the lion. I don't think it would have worked without -1 to wound. I don't think I used Leonine aggression once, but what I did do, and I think this comes from sportsmanship, but actually it's quite a tactical play as well, is at the start of every game I say, look, I've got Leonine aggression, this is how it works. What I'm going to do is if you stray within 6 inches of a unit, I'm going to tell you, okay? So that I'm going to warn you that if you stay there, I can Leonine aggression. Because what I don't want you to do is make a play, forget I've got it. I then come out and kill a unit. But I say to my opponent, but could you do me a favor? If I shoot a pistol at that unit and it can fire, it can then reactive move because I've shot at it. Can you just remind me that actually that's probably a daft thing to do? Or if I stray within 9 inches of your unit that's got a reactive move, would you just remind me? So I have this conversation start of every single game and just say, look, let's have a nice clean game and let's just set some ground rules. Let's remind each other of our kind of
I
got
think I
yous.
think that's a some definitely some lessons could be learned to players out there about that style of play, because if it's displayed by one side and not then displayed by the person you're playing, it can become quite an awkward and uncomfortable interaction.
It
Uh,
can. And by setting that at the start, I've set a social contract
yeah, yeah,
because
exactly.
my opponent has agreed to it. If I do that for you, would you do that for me? Oh, you would. Thanks very much. And then I can say that to my opponent later. If I move 8 inches away and he reactive moves, I go, oh, do you mind if I pull back an inch? We did talk about this, right? Oh, yeah, yeah, that's fine. Never had a problem with that. But what it also does, from a tactical point of view, is it means if he strays within 6 inches of my unit and I say, I can Leonine aggression you, he moves back or doesn't make that play. I've saved myself a CP. I don't need to Leonine aggression him. So actually, just the threat of it can be useful. Um, so it's both sportsmanship and tactical, and I'd always suggest that people have that kind of conversation at the start. Even silly little things about dice. What's a cock dice? What isn't a cock dice? I've got one of the pro painted trays that you mentioned at the start. Absolutely fantastic. And I always say to my opponent, any dice that rolls out the tray, I'm rolling again, whether it's a six or whether it's a one. So set the ground rules at the start, and then hopefully you'll have a great game because you've got this nice little social contract going. You both know where you stand.
And look, you clearly it worked. You got three best most sporting. You won the whole event. We're hopefully going to get you in Norwich again. Maybe not this year, but next year for some of our other events, so you can try and take the title. If anybody watches this, fancies coming and joining us at one of these events, uh, if you go into our Linktree, you can see there are tickets available, and you can come and enjoy a really great game in the lovely city of Norwich. Uh, I would just want to say massive thank you, Alan, obviously, for coming on. Everybody loves the Rules Lawyer content. We get so many shares, we get so many likes. People really love it when you post them. And we just want to say, if you have any Rules Lawyer questions for Alan, please pop them in the comments below.
Jeez.
If you've got any comments about this in general, pop it about what he's just discussed in this video. Pop it in below. Alan will be keeping an eye on this, and he'll reply to you directly. We do want to also just give a little shout out to our good friend Ed Watts. He is from the 6++ team, but he is also starting his own painting channel. The link will be in our description. Ed is actually an amazing player, but he's also an incredible hobbyist, and he's doing his own little painting YouTube. It's very junior. He's got, when I last looked, it was like 9 subs. I'm hoping just from today, if we could all go to that YouTube, give him a sub, just to kind of encourage him to bring out some great content, and you'll see some of the amazing painting that he's done. His fulgrim is next level, and we just really like Ed because he's just such a personality at the table. And if you ever get a chance to meet him, you'll see exactly what type of person he is. I just want to say as well, massive thank you to Alan for joining us to do this.
Thanks for inviting me. I enjoyed that. I was, and hopefully it's been interesting, and hopefully people will ask more rules questions because I'm running out of ideas. So
Yes,
um,
bring us in, help us make our content. Uh, but anyway, I've been Aaron, and we got Alan here from Black Road Gaming. We would just want to say a massive thank you for supporting us, and we will see you all very soon. See you later.
see you later.